You think Chubba Purdy's the starter?
I think Chubba Purdy's going to be the starter game one. I don't think that we're going to go after anybody big in the portal for quarterback. I think we're just going to get somebody as, the backup that is going to, hopefully, Chubba Purdy does not get injured, but if he does, we have a quality guy to back him up.
That's going to make a lot of people upset.
Oh, they're going to be so pissed.
45, 50, 45, 40, 35, 30, he's going to go! Holy cow!
Big Red Junkies.
Day by day, he gets better and better! He gets better and better! Team is JPB! Oh, man, woman, and child, he just turned this stadium inside out!
We are on to 2024. We're not talking about this past shit season.
No more woe is me, feeling sorry for yourself.
Nobody
Not that we were feeling that way.
There's a lot of good that came from this season.
I agree.
The only people that should feel sorry for themselves after last year should be lamenting a lot more in their lives because they obviously don't really pay attention to what actually happened.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Which was a lot of growth.
Yeah, there's a lot more growth. There's a lot of just changing of the guard and changing of things that had to happen. And some of that comes with growing pains.
Well, my favorite quote from the press conference from Rule, the post-game press conference, which, by the way, no coach does a post-game press conference, so thank you, Rule, for doing that one. But my favorite quote that he had in there was when somebody asked about the fishbowl, his first year in the fishbowl of Nebraska football and stuff like that. He brought up how he goes, anybody that thought that this was a one-year fix, and he kind of paused so he didn't say, go fuck yourself. He said, oh, well, God bless you.
That's the nice Midwesterner way of saying, go fuck yourself.
And I liked how he goes, I do not call this a rebuild, but this is a build because we want to build this the way that we run things.
Yeah, well, you had to.
Yeah.
We talked about that back at the very beginning when Rule got hired, I think back in January. We said, is this a rebuild? I think the title of the show was, this a rebuild show or something like that? And we said, is this a rebuild? Was this a complete teardown? Was this building from the ground up? I think you truly saw him tear it down basically to the studs and build it back from the ground up. You still had some hangover from last year, but I'm done with the.
But there was growth.
There was definite growth.
Yeah,
you saw growth in guys like Reimer. You saw growth in guys like Ty Robinson, guys that had been not living up to potential that they needed to. We just talked about how
Bryce Benhart.
I was just going to say
guys that have been here
maybe
for
more
a
than
bit.
anybody on the team.
Yes,
yeah, guys that have just been here for a little while that were really kind of stalled out and hadn't done much, and that growth is only going to continue for next year.
I believe it will be,
and I think it was
even more so
for us
because they'll have an extra year with him.
Get through a year of hearing Rule's voice and get further away from Scott Frost. As far as looking forward, you can't really look forward without talking recruiting, without talking transfer portal. Where do we want to go first?
Recruiting's my favorite.
Well, I mean, when it comes to recruiting, I think we're sitting right now, I think, right outside the top 25 for a recruiting class. He definitely hit his spots where it's needed in this recruiting class. We only took one quarterback. I wish that we would have gotten a second one, but
that'll be the transfer portal.
That'll be the transfer portal. I think. What do you guys think? It'll be one or two transfer quarterbacks?
Well, I think it depends on how many of our quarterbacks that we have currently are gone. Well,
should we back up and answer that question first?
Well, I mean, the typical question is basically over under 1.5 come back of the three.
Well, and it's a little tricky
because we know that one's going to be gone at least.
Sure, but if we have two stay, will they both be quarterbacks next year?
That's a question as well.
I think the fact that you saw...
I think they will be, but...
I think the fact that you saw Heinrich Haarberg do what he did this year and his effectiveness on the field, I think that we would be making a mistake by not trying to move him positions to get him on the field a little bit more, not at the quarterback position.
Well, and the other thing as far as how many quarterbacks we bring in the portal, we also got to remember there's only 85 scholarships.
Yeah.
Currently, with the commits that we have and everything else, we're like 15 to 20 over.
And we're not going to get a quarterback out of the portal that we aren't offering a scholarship to.
Yeah.
No.
Now, and are there some of those players that are on the over list right now that might be get off of scholarship and take a NIL scholarship, basically? Yeah, that will happen to some players. but still, when you're roughly 20 over right now, and you don't have to get to 85 until August, so I'm not panicking over that. A lot of people are like, oh my God,
Didn't we start with even more than that this last season?
Yeah. So it's kind of like, do I think that maybe they should take 2 quarterbacks? Probably, but do we have enough spots for 2? I don't know.
What I've seen so far is the expectation on roster turnover from this season to post-transfer portal and post-recruiting class. Right now, I think we have it's 26 kids in this recruiting class. That's the estimated number, is 26 is what we're going to take in recruiting class. And they think they're going to have 10 to 15 scholarship spots left to look at the transfer portal.
Well, like right now, of the players that we know are either seniors and gone or leaving, like the Ty Hans, the Blaze Gunnarsons, like that he talked about, that are just moving on with their lives. Nick Heinrich, for
Going
instance.
home, getting married, and running the farm.
Yeah. But Nick Heinrich had a year left, but he's retiring from football. Stuff like that. I think it's like 13 or 15 guys are gone. So, that opens up some scholarships for those 26 specifically.
Well, and you might,
but
we don't know. Tomorrow is when the
that's what I'm saying right now. Who we
Yeah.
know. That's what I'm trying to get at. So,
and he said he was spending this past week having those conversations with each player.
And
said
he
they'll
also
meet
said
with their coordinator, they'll meet with their position coach and their coordinator, and then if they want to, they'll meet with me.
Yep.
And everybody that is going to get that conversation of, hey, I think you're a really good player. I think you've got a great shot to go play somewhere else. They're all going to meet with him, and they're probably going to be in the portal tomorrow, I would guess.
Well, and he also said, I'm not pushing anybody out,
he
but
said,
I'm also going to be honest and say you're not going to start.
Yeah.
If that's the case.
Or you might not even get a chance to play
Yeah.
here because you just don't fit our system.
Yeah.
He said he wasn't telling anybody to leave, and we want everybody to remain, but he's not going to lie to any of these kids.
Exactly.
He was pretty much directly asked almost exactly that about Jeff Sims, and it was his initial response was kind of like when you talk about an ugly kid. Like, she's got a great personality. He
Was
literally
exactly
was like,
that.
he was like, Jeff Sims is one of the best locker room guys out there. It's like, that is a fucking terrible, terrible, terrible compliment.
Well, and also when they were just talking about quarterbacks in general, he'd bring up Haarberg and Purdy and lament the possibility of their development in the future and all this stuff, and not once saying that about Sims.
Yeah. I think the writing's on the wall with Sims, just
Yeah.
like you just said. Me personally, if I was gonna just make a guess right now without hearing anything, without knowing anything, I think Haarberg and Purdy are both on the roster next year.
I agree.
I think Haarberg is at a different position.
I'm not sure.
Either way,
know.
I don't see him leaving.
Yeah.
He
No,
lives
he's
and
not
breathes
gonna leave.
Nebraska.
But as far as scholarship positions go and things like that, right now he's on scholarship as a quarterback, and that was a necessity last year.
Mhm.
If it's still a necessity next year, he'll be on scholarship as a quarterback. But I think the goal should be for them to go get at least 2 portal guys and bringing in Danny Kaelin, and you keep Chubba Purdy at quarterback. And
Chubb Purdy's not playing a different position. So
No. But that's what I think what should be happening. I don't think you can come in with only 3 quarterbacks in the room again.
No.
We
At least 3 scholarship quarterbacks.
we talked last year heading into the offseason about, I think we had 6 guys in the room.
Mhm.
And we ended up losing 4 of them
Mhm.
and bringing 1 in. I think they really need to at least have a 4th option back there. And I think Kaelin should be that 4th option as a redshirt freshman.
I mean, I hope we don't go that deep.
I don't necessarily. I don't think we should have to use him that much.
Yeah.
But I think you nailed it. We have to have at least 4 guys back there.
Yeah.
Because we were scraping the bottom of the barrel with our 3rd this year.
Mhm.
Well, and I've already heard that on Friday they were down in Manhattan, Kansas, talking to
Will Howard.
Will Howard down there.
Apparently, Lincoln Riley flew in to talk to him, too.
Oh, fuck. Okay. Well, he's gone.
I don't know about that.
I don't know. It's one of those things. First of all, if you're a quarterback and Lincoln Riley's offering you a spot to come over and saying, I'm going to make you a Heisman Trophy candidate, you're going to take it.
If I'm a quarterback and I look down at my phone and it says Lincoln Riley, I just delete the call and I go, yes.
Yeah, let's go. I don't know if
I'll be there tomorrow.
he's probably not the only guy that Lincoln Riley's talking to,
No.
but he'd be an amazing get. There's several quarterbacks that are in the portal right now that would be amazing grabs.
You guys think there's any chance that Purdy leaves? He has the ability to because he's technically graduating.
Yeah.
You guys think he's around next year?
I think he will be back next year, yeah.
I think personally, the way that he played in the last 2 games, yeah, you have to look at the turnovers, but you take away the turnovers, he played well enough to at least be getting a look at what is a whole offseason going to do for him. But again, you look at the fact that he missed the whole offseason this past year because of injury, and he's already had surgery. He had groin surgery, and it's going to keep him out. He's not going to get to play through the spring again. You're going to kind of be in a situation like...
Is it that long of a recovery? I don't know.
Well, if you don't have surgery on it, it's 3 to 4 months. I would assume if you have surgery, it's at least 3 to 4 months.
Okay. I like I said, I have no idea.
What I've heard talked about is that they're not going to know what he looks like until fall camp.
Okay.
So
you say technically 3 to 4 months would put you at beginning of April, and the spring game is at the end of April this year.
That's true.
So
maybe.
I don't know.
What I've heard is that they're not going to be able to see him in spring.
Okay.
And so if you don't see him in spring, maybe he doesn't stick around. Maybe it's a Casey Thompson type situation, because if he's not going to get an opportunity to start, I think for him, where he's at in his career and looking at the fact that his brother's been able to transition to the NFL and been able to play and start in the NFL, his skill set's not that far off from what his brother has. If we're not going to give him an opportunity to start next year, or at least a look, I would not be shocked if you see him go to take off and go to an SMU or a Tulsa, or one of the lower end non Power 5 schools.
But do you think there's any chance right now he's hearing from the coaches you're not going to get a look?
No.
Yeah.
I don't think you can even have that conversation until you know who's coming in the portal.
Yeah.
And right now they don't know who's coming in the portal.
I think even if you do know who is or isn't, I mean, we already talked about it multiple times, how he, as limited as he was, both in reps and in health, he was the best quarterback we had.
Yeah.
He was the only one that looked like a quarterback.
And you can't even really look at a couple of his turnovers because they were just Hail Mary, last second, trying to do something type.
Well, I wasn't trying to make an excuse for him in the end of the Iowa game, but the Iowa player that intercepted him, it was a very clear I didn't see him there, and he was standing right next to the ref.
Yep.
Like he was sideways, basically this close to the fucking ref. So I'm not trying to give him a pass on it because it was a terrible interception.
Yep.
But you're trained as a
even the best quarterbacks miss a defender.
You see it in the NFL all the time. Yeah. And you're trained as a quarterback that your eyes are going to avoid looking at the ref as a person on the field.
Yep.
Like you're not trying to throw around him. You're going to throw through him, and he's supposed to get out of the way. Whereas a dude in a black jersey standing right next to a dude in a black and white jersey.
Wasn't it in the Washington-Oregon game that we were watching where the ref...
He hit him right in the chest.
And then they yelled at each other.
Yeah. Bo Nix was like, get the fuck out of the way. And the guy was like, you threw it right at me.
Well, I think the ref said, if I read the lips correctly, the ref goes, I'm part of the field.
Yeah, I don't know. That was a chunky ref, too. He wasn't moving. He wasn't going to move fast. Odd to see. But, yeah, as far as quarterbacks go, I would guess only one of those dudes is still in that room next year.
So maybe 2 are on the team, but only 1 is in the room.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think if you're Haarberg, why wouldn't you...
I think 2 of them are in the room. I don't think Haarberg's switching positions.
If you're Haarberg, why wouldn't you push? And if you were Satterfield, looking at what Haarberg was able to do as far as running the ball.
Well, from Haarberg's aspect, the reason you don't push is you just started so many games at quarterback, and that's the most fun position to play.
I get that.
But if you record-wise, he was successful.
Yeah.
If you can get on the field every game, playing at the tight end position... Like, can you imagine him catching a backup screen, tight end screen, swing pass out there and getting going? There's a lot of things you can do with a guy like that moves over to tight end. Taysom Hill has made a career out of it in the NFL.
Are you saying he should replace another tight end?
I'm not saying you can replace him.
Put him out there at the same time, but only throw the ball to one of them.
I've not been very nice to Fedoni just because I get so tired. Kind of like what we've talked about. I get so tired of the constant hard on that all these people have for him. It's like it's just blind. It's blindness.
Yep.
If you watch him play, he's not that good. Stop sucking his dick so much. But
it doesn't mean that he sucks. But just relax.
He's an average tight end. But another year healthy, maybe he does develop a lot next year.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at what the coaching staff has been able to do, developing other players that haven't lived up to their ability, maybe another year healthy gets that done for him.
Yep.
maybe getting a quarterback out there that's able to throw a little bit better ball gets that done for him. I'm not writing the guy off. I really, really hope he turns into something awesome. And I'm excited that he's coming back for another year. He seems fired up. He's already posting all kinds of content about work's not done. I think I still have a lot left, all that stuff. Cool.
Good.
Go prove it.
Yeah.
Show us, man.
Absolutely.
Bryce Benhart did it. You should be able to figure it out. I was way harder on Bryce Benhart than I was on Fidoni this year.
For way longer.
For way longer. As far as the guys that we have coming in that we know about already, I think Grant Bricks is the one that I'm the most excited about. The other guy that's down in Texas, I can't remember his name right now. He's another offensive lineman. Both of those guys are sized, and but not Grant Bricks because he's playing in the middle of nowhere, Iowa, at a small school. But the dude from Texas is playing big boy ball already. He's a guy that I could see if we're going to see somebody make a transition in their true freshman year to actually maybe see some playing time if need be. He's one that I could see getting it done.
Cool.
Offensive line, that's the biggest thing that I'm excited about. There's a couple pieces on defense that are coming in that I think are like getting Buford's brother. That's a big deal. There's a couple pieces on defense that I think are pretty awesome. It'll be interesting to see if Carter Nelson is another Fidoni situation or if the dude comes in and like he's a physical freak.
I think he's going to take time, but
You think he's going to take time?
I think he's more of a project than people want to admit. But
Well, he's so gifted athletically.
Yeah.
When you're seeing a tight end who's 6'6" that's doing backflips in the end zone like fucking Tyreek Hill. Get out of here. That's crazy to see something like that.
For sure.
If that translates to playing college football, I don't know.
well, I think the bigger thing is
Doesn't hurt.
the transition of putting 11 guys out on the field and playing against 11 instead of 8.
Well,
You know, like
and like I just said about Grant Bricks, you're playing in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like against nobodies. You're not playing big boy ball. It's not like playing in Texas where a lot of those dudes could walk straight over to UT right now and get a good
well,
look.
and also being the only dude on the field.
Yeah.
And now you're on the field with not only 3 more players, but also a bunch of other dudes.
And not playing both sides of the ball. Not punting.
Like I said, I'm not trying to trash Carter Nelson by any means whatsoever. I'm not going to expect him to come in and be a home run immediately.
Hey, if our punter struggles next year, he might get a look at punter too. Because he's got some good punting numbers.
Sure.
Is there anything else you guys have seen that you're excited about as far as recruiting has been so far?
No, because I don't look at recruiting. No, I'm just saying. I think I can't ask you. I can't.
You're not wrong.
I've still got this last season's taste in my mouth. I haven't really looked into it that much yet.
That's fair.
I think I'm more focused on the transfer portal stuff than I am the recruits.
Have you seen anybody that you think is a real target for us?
No, honestly, I don't know that we're going to go after anybody big. So at least in the quarterback position, I'm more interested in going after a big time running back than I am a high profile quarterback.
Even when we've got Irvin coming back, and
Yeah.
who do you think we're going to
Because
go after?
can I count that Irvin's going to be healthy since he's
Oh, well,
never
I
been
don't think
healthy
you
an
can
entire
count him
season?
healthy for anything.
That's just reality.
That's fair.
I wouldn't mind another wide receiver as well
Or
to go
3.
along. Yeah, but I'm more focused on outside the quarterback room than I am inside the quarterback room in the transfer portal.
How aggressive do you think this staff is going to be with the transfer portal this first full year here?
Not as aggressive as they were.
You think
Yeah.
so?
They are so focused on being a developmental program. It doesn't mean that they're going to ignore the transfer portal because in this day of college football, you can't ignore it.
They're going to pick their spots.
Yes. They don't want this to be a patchwork build from the transfer portal program. They want to be a high school, build from the high school level
And
program.
I get that. When you're looking at a very limited couple of positions like the quarterbacks and receivers,
Mhm.
that's got to be where you look to make some sort of get for your next season.
And also, to me, when Rule brings up that it costs $1 to $1.5 million for a top flight quarterback, to me, that's him looking at the places like the 1890 Collective and saying,
Be ready.
"Hey guys, like,
We're not paying. I don't think 1890 is paying anybody more than $200K right now. Are they?
oh yeah, there, yeah."
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen.
it's
numbers on that
basically
in a while.
to me, it was basically telling 1890, get ready. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And if you're not willing to do this, then we need to find something else that is going to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, to me, when he said that, I didn't necessarily take it as we're not going to get one because we're not going to pay for it. It was more of a just be ready because this is what we're going to have to do to get that sort of level of talent.
I don't feel like 1890 is doing a good enough job marketing and trying to bring in other dollars that aren't just big booster guys.
They have commercials everywhere. They have billboards everywhere.
I don't know they have billboards. I don't see their commercials that are at least not effective ones that are standing out to me.
Well, they're on the radio all the time. Like, my God.
I don't listen to the radio.
Okay.
So
you probably also don't watch that much local television.
That's true too. I just feel like you hear of and you see other collectives in other states that are doing a lot of fundraising events, charity ball type.
And some of them are getting themselves in trouble. They might be trying to be low cost.
There is that.
I will also I just don't trust that 1890 collective. I don't trust that they're going to spend the money necessary.
I don't know.
I don't really have anything to back that up off of. Maybe I'm just saying it because it's also run by Matt Davison. But
a statement like that though from Rule, where he's basically saying it's $1 to $2 million for a good quarterback in the transfer portal. Chances are good that kid out of UCLA is probably going to get closer to 4 or 5 from wherever the fuck he winds up. But that basically, to me, when Rule said it, people took it different ways. I thought when Rule said that was basically like, and that's not something I'm willing to do.
Well, to be fair, that's not his.
It's not his call.
It's not his call. It's not his job. He can't be part of it.
But
all of those things.
He did back up and say that like hardcore after he made
is
that comment.
The one that has to go shake these hands and make these conversations with these kids. He needs to know what he does and doesn't have available for him.
That right there, what Matt just said. He knows what he does and does not have available.
Yeah.
That's why I think that his comment was more directed at 1890. Like, hey, I know what you guys spend. We need to step this up a little bit more.
Yeah.
But also, as far as like specifically quarterbacks,
and remember the week prior when he made the comment about Tony White and saying, "Got to have make sure you have that support and that commitment.
Mm-hmm.
They can't just say they want these wins; they got to back it up."
Yep. One of the things that kind of sucks is that we are only focusing on the quarterbacks, but that was our biggest pressing issue for the team. But also, one of the things that I'm looking at in the portal, and hell, Rule even said it, and I was saying this before Rule said it, but also, so I completely agree with him. I don't want a Will Howard type. I don't want a Will Howard because I want to bring in a guy that has multiple years left. I don't want just a 1-year stopgap fix guy. I think the UCLA kid is going to be way too expensive, so that's not what I'm trying to say, but a guy that has 4 years, 3 years, even 2 years left to be able to come in here. I don't want a 1-year guy coming in as a quarterback. I'll take a 1-year guy if it's a running back or any other position, but a quarterback, I want a guy that's going to be here. Hell, even a Jeff Sims type where he had 2 years left.
My question on that is, if their whole goal with recruiting is to be able to go and find a guy that they're going to recruit and have sit back for a year, you're not going to bring on any top-tier quarterback recruit that isn't going to expect to at least play in year 2.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to see that happen. So that's where I don't hate a Will Howard with only 1 year left. Bring him in. Because if Danny Kaelin is who you think he is, and you think he's got a real shot at becoming a starting quarterback in college football, you're going to have to play him next year, or he's going to be gone. Because he had opportunity. Like, when you look at how good Missouri was this year, and the fact that he was already committed to Missouri and he decommitted to commit to Nebraska, yes, he's a Nebraska kid. He wanted to be here. But Missouri wanted him. And Missouri, as it sits, is better than Nebraska.
I don't think
in lose a kid like that.
I don't think 1 year you're not going to lose a guy like Danny Kaelin. With how quickly he decommitted and committed to Nebraska, he almost committed to Nebraska before he decommitted from Missouri. It was that quick. I think it will take more than just 1 year of him not playing, because he's not playing next year anyway.
I'm not saying next year. I'm saying bring him in behind a Will Howard and let Will Howard have the year, go crazy, be a senior. We've got Kaelin ready after a year on the bench, riding behind you.
And I guess the big thing is I'm not high on Kaelin that he's going to be anybody. So
that's fair.
I don't know that you can be high on anybody coming in out of high school because you just never fucking know. But that is the kind of program that Rule wants to build.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need something in the middle.
Yep.
So having a guy here for 3 or 4 years, that's not as big of a priority, at least in my mind, just because we are going to start bringing in Rules guys that he can coach and develop.
Well, and also, when I say like even a guy that has 2 years left, He could still leave after 1 year. I just want the availability of multiple years, not just the 1 year.
That's totally fair. Will Howard, the reason that he gets me excited, besides just obviously he's had some success, he's also played in a program that's super similar to what Rule's building. He's played in a climate that's super. I mean, they played in a snow game last week. Like, he's played in the Midwest. He's used to playing big boy football on a team that their defense plays very similar to what Big Ten's plays. That's what he's used to practicing against. You see a guy like his name escapes me that's leaving UCLA. It's like
Dante Moore.
Yeah, he hasn't played anybody even close. Like, I realize UCLA is coming to the Big Ten, but they're not already in the Big Ten. He's not, he's a California guy. He's going to come in here. It's like, what's he going to do in November? That's where Will Howard, to me, gets exciting. But it's also, what is Rule selling on any of these portal guys that are coming in? Is he selling them on, hey, I want you for multiple years because I think I can develop you better than where you develop right now? Or is he looking at the portal like he's talked about it, and he's saying, I need a Band-Aid for a year. Come be my Band-Aid because you've been developed well, you're good. We can get you, a couple mil in NIL, and you'll be our Band-Aid for a year and get you out of here.
The other thing I think that sucks is hearing big-time recruiting guys like Bud Elliott constantly say, if I'm an offensive player, there's no chance I'm going to Nebraska under Marcus Satterfield. That sucks.
Yeah.
That should maybe be a sign.
Yeah.
Well, if we're not going to do any better than we did this year, or at least remove the turnovers, do better than we did this year, if we're not going to do better than that, I think Satterfield's going to be a 2-year kind of guy.
Yeah.
And he'll be out.
Yeah.
Because
if we don't see decent
Rule won't
improvement,
get that opportunity.
No.
Trev's not going to let him waste that opportunity. You're seeing it in all over college football right now, where the head coach and their loyalty, it's not like it was 3 or 4 years ago.
No.
It is. If you're not going to make the hard decision, I'm going to make you make the hard decision.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention, you can't be proactive and make the right decision with Tony White and then continue to shoot yourself in the dick with Satterfield.
Yep. Especially when Tony White wasn't your guy and Satterfield was. That's the tough one.
So I hadn't heard that about not wanting to come play here because of Satterfield, but if that's a legitimate concern for players, that's something to consider.
Yeah. And to be fair, he was saying that even when Satterfield was at South Carolina, too. So it's not just a Nebraska thing, it's a Satterfield thing.
I don't know how much of that is that Satterfield just rubs people the wrong way, so a lot of the national media guys don't like him.
Yeah, I have no idea.
But at the same time, didn't show us anything this year that got us excited.
No.
So it is what it is. You had one more thing you wanted to run on?
Just a curiosity, since we're in the off season and we're looking forward to 2024. And hell, we do predictions anyway. So
it's kind of the name of the game.
What is your crazy, maybe off the wall, way too early prediction for 2024? You don't have to give me a record. I mean, if you want to, that's fine. But just in general, like something that you think might happen, or a player that might step up and do something, or whatever else, something to that effect.
My biggest thing is I think we continue to see the mental strength of the team get better, and we take away some of these mistakes. I'm not going to say what I think the offense or the defense is going to look like, though I really fucking hope the defense looks at least as good as they did this year. But I think the feeling like we're going to lose a game and then we go lose the game, that's going to continue to go away. We're going to start seeing more of a strong mindset from these guys.
Pussy.
7-5.
He wants a crazy prediction. I'm gonna give you one right now.
11-1.
Sunday, December 3rd,
14-0
at 10:14 p.m. That's when I'm throwing this out here. We already have our schedule for next season, and we've seen it. April 27th, I'm calling a win, Nebraska in the spring game for sure.
Okay. Bold.
Crazy.
We open the season August 31st on a Saturday. First time opening the season on a Saturday in a
He's
little
going
bit.
all in on this.
You mean 2 years since we played it Saturday in Ireland?
Oh, that was on. Pretty sure it would open on Thursday.
No.
Okay.
It's a week
whatever.
0 game.
Anyway, I'm calling a win to open the season against UTEP at home Saturday,
Crazy.
September 7th.
Bold.
Colorado comes to town. I'm calling a win that day.
Bold.
Fuck Prime. Northern Iowa, win. Illinois, at home, win. We start the season next year with 4 straight home games. That's awesome. We go at Purdue. That's going to be a tough one, but a win. If you're following along, folks, we're talking about 5-0 at this point. Rutgers.
No, not we. You are.
Yeah, just
Rutgers.
I learned my lesson on this bullshit.
Rutgers. I'm calling a win. It's back at home.
He is going 11-1.
Then we're at Indiana. We are 7-0 at this point.
Jesus fucking.
Then we have.
I really don't like
Then we have
this.
to
This is
go
making me
to-
uncomfortable.
We have to go to Columbus, Ohio, play Ohio State. I'm calling a loss there. We have UCLA back home the next week, win. Then we have a bye week. We go out to California. We play USC. We beat the dick off of USC.
I said crazy, not insane.
It's all the
We
same.
beat the dick off them. They have no defense. It's fine. We have all the defense. And they're not going to have Caleb Williams next year.
Yeah, they'll
then-
have another 5-star quarterback that they've already got in the
Then
program.
we're back home. Yeah, it's probably that fucking kid from Kansas State. Then we're back home versus Wisconsin, which I think will be a loss. And the next week at Iowa City.
We beat the dick off of USC, but we lose to Wisconsin.
I think Wisconsin's going to be really good next year.
I think Wisconsin rebounds.
And we're going to Iowa City to beat the brakes off of them and finally make Ferentz retire. So, yes, I am calling us for a solid 10-2.
And I'm calling BJ making a public apology about halfway through the season next year.
What, August 22nd?
Yeah.
Before the season actually even starts?
Yeah.
Hey, you wanted bold prediction. That's my thing.
No, I said crazy, not insane.
I also think, regardless of who it is playing, I think we have a 2,000-yard passer next season.
Well, the bad thing is you say that and it's like,
That number
exciting.
sounds so small.
Yeah, exactly.
Number sounds so small.
We shouldn't
but
be excited to get to 2,000.
When's the last time we had a 2,000-yard passer? Adrian Martinez, year 1, 2?
I don't know.
It's regardless. Those are my two bold predictions: 10-2 and a capable quarterback.
Casey Thompson had 2,400 last year.
Oh well, never mind.
My crazy, way too early prediction. It goes against one of our pipe or no pipes a couple weeks ago. That do we have the starting quarterback on our roster right now? I think we do.
You think Chubba Purdy's the starter?
I think Chubba Purdy's going to be the starter game one. I don't think that we're going to go after anybody big in the portal for quarterback. I think we're just going to get somebody as, the backup that is going to, hopefully Chubba Purdy does not get injured, but if he does, we have a quality guy to back him up.
That's going to make a lot of people upset.
Oh, they're going to be so pissed.
If that happens, that's going to make a lot of people
One of the
upset.
reasons why I don't think Haarberg is switching positions is because Rule talked about, he's talked about this, and we've said it a handful of times, that he wants this to be a developmental program. They believe in their developmental abilities. You see what he did at Temple. You see what he did at Baylor. His first year, he started P.J. Walker, who was a freshman. Baylor, he started Charlie Brewer, who was a freshman. They went through some growing pains for that first year. They stuck with them in all of the years after that because they believed in their developmental abilities. I think that's exactly what they're going to try to do with both Haarberg and Purdy. I think Purdy's just the better quarterback, so that's why I'm taking Purdy as the starting quarterback. And they're strictly going. That's another reason why I don't think they're going to go big on the quarterback in the portal. I think they're going to be looking at their developmental abilities, and that's what they're going to try to do with these quarterbacks. He talked about it a lot this year, about Haarberg's throwing motion and how they need to work on it, and they just didn't have time to do it in last offseason. I think that they're going to move Satterfield to the tight ends coach. I think they're going to bring in a quarterbacks coach to actually work on these guys' movements. And we actually do have our starting quarterback on the roster for next year.
Wow, that's some fire right there.
Not as much fire at 10-2.
No, I think that's almost as
It's
shocking
like a
to me,
city
though.
ablaze.
It's almost as shocking to me, though. My last question I have for you, and I'll let it go from here. Do you think, first of all, you already answered part of it, was do you think Satterfield's still coaching QBs next year?
I don't.
I don't either.
I don't either.
Again, especially, he brought it up that our initial plan.
He was asked the question, and then he went into.
He said our initial plan was to have him be the offensive coordinator and tight ends coach, and it didn't work out.
Yeah.
Well, now you can make it work out because even the tight ends coach that they had to replace Wager for, they told him this is on an interim basis for this isn't like a long-term thing.
And I'm sorry, but Fedoni.
Well, I mean, it's like
he didn't. I'm saying
there's a chance that you could stay here, but don't count on it necessarily. Hell, they could just push him back to an analyst.
Yeah.
And then you move Satterfield back over to the tight end spot, and you bring in an actual quarterback coach.
Well, he made mention when he was talking about that the NCAA is looking at
allowing
analysts to
be on the field.
Well,
and coach.
To coach during the week. I didn't think it was to be
saying.
on the field and actually do anything.
Well, to be on the field to coach the players, like actually allow them to do stuff with the players on the field.
I thought it was just during the week. I didn't realize it was going to be.
But that's what I'm saying.
Okay, I'm talking game, like the difference between Harbaugh and game day and during the week. So my last question was going to be, do you think there's any change to what Ed Foley's responsibilities are?
No. Because what else is he going to do?
Because the special teams regressed this year.
I don't know that they regressed. They were pretty much the same because they were bad. They've been bad. Like
I thought they were better last year than they were this year.
I don't. I think they sucked equally.
You don't have any thoughts?
Not really.
No.
I don't know what else. I mean, other than being fired, what else is a Foley going to do?
Become a full-time recruiting coordinator and let somebody else take over special teams?
No, I don't. But the thing is, since he's a special teams coordinator, I would go back to answering your question. I would go back to what he said. Rule said about Satterfield, how silly it would be to fire a coordinator after only 1 year.
I mean,
I'm not saying those are the exact same things, but I'm just going off those words.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair if you want to look at it that way. I guess I just don't look at them the same because it's not like Foley's dialing up plays and, doing anything. That's not a system that you're implementing. That's basically just how are you practicing? How are you putting the special teams out there during the week? And the special teams was just, I mean, they were awful this year. You look at the quarterbacks and special teams, to me, those are the two biggest negatives for our season.
I also just don't see Rule making wholesale changes after only 1 year.
That's fair. That's why I wondered if maybe he would just be dialed back as far as coaching perspective goes. Because from a recruiting standpoint, especially local recruiting, I mean, the guy was everywhere. He set foot in every single high school that has a football team in the state of Nebraska.
Yeah,
last season. That's huge. He's a big time local presence guy, and he's pretty big in Jersey too, isn't he? Isn't he? It's like him and Rule or the Jersey area guys.
I have no idea.
Him and the what's his name? The linebackers coach. Dvorak. They're all from up there. But that's all I got. That's my big preseason preview. We probably won't do another show until beginning of January.
Yeah.
We'll be kicking off the new season. Might have some fresh looks to some things. We're going to talk about it and see what it's all about. We appreciate you guys in 2023.
Yes.
And this may be the most unbelievable night in Cornhusker football history.